Last spring, I lost everything when my business venture failed. I'm not talking about a small setback. I mean everything. My savings, my apartment, even my self-respect. At 28, moving back to your hometown is rough. Moving back to your childhood home, even rougher. But I had no choice. Mom still lived in our old house, and Carter had moved back in with his wife, Gabriella, a few years earlier. He claimed he needed to help take care of Mom. The joke was that Mom, at 58, had more energy than all of us combined. She did morning yoga, went hiking with her friends 3 times a week, and organized the local book club. Carter helping her, more like the other way around. When I called to ask about staying for a few months, Carter's response should have been my first warning. He got quiet, then said in this weirdly controlled voice, "Well, all the bedrooms are taken, but we could clear out some space in the garage." I was desperate enough to say yes, thinking it was temporary. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The garage was exactly what you'd imagine. Concrete floor, spider webs, and that distinct smell of old motor oil mixed with cardboard boxes. Carter had generously set up an ancient camping cot in the corner. Meanwhile, he and Gabriella had the master bedroom. Mom was in her room, and here's the kicker. Carter was using my old bedroom as his personal space, mostly for online gaming. That first night set the tone. I tried to go inside to use the bathroom, and Carter stopped me cold. "Hey, use the side door in the half-bath off the kitchen. Mom's trying to sleep, and we can't have you clomping through the house at all hours." It was 8:03 p.m. Later, I found out he'd told Mom I specifically requested the garage because I needed space to process my failures. Living in the garage became a master class in surviving winter. I'd wake up to frost on the inside of the windows, timing my bathroom runs between Carter's random house lockdowns. The guy even started tracking shower times, claiming I was driving up the water bill, this from someone who hadn't paid a dime in rent since moving back home. Gabriella was the only one who seemed to notice how messed up everything was. She'd sneak me coffee in the mornings, always looking over her shoulder like a spy in her own home. "He's changed," she'd whisper. "Ever since we moved back, it's like he's become this different person. I don't even recognize him sometimes." The weird stuff started piling up. I'd come back to find my things reorganized, meaning Carter had gone through my stuff while I was out. He'd implemented random rules about when I could use the microwave in the kitchen or do my laundry. It was like he got some weird kick out of controlling every aspect of my life. Then things got interesting. I started finding scraps of paper in the garage receipts Carter had dropped, bank statements he'd tried to hide. The numbers didn't add up. Some mornings, I'd hear him arguing on the phone in hushed tones, talking about extensions and just one more week. I met Haley during this time. She lived in the apartment complex across from where I worked, and we kept running into each other at the local coffee shop. When I told her about my living situation, she didn't give me the usual pity look. Instead, she helped me plan my escape, one step at a time. My best friend Julian started noticing things too. He'd known our family forever, used to help Mom with yard work in high school. One Saturday, he came by to hang out, and Carter lost it, came storming into the garage ranting about strangers on the property. In his rush to assert dominance, he dropped a stack of papers. Julian picked them up after Carter left, and what we found made my stomach turn. Loan application, casino receipts, credit card statements, all in Mom's name. The amounts were staggering. Carter had been playing with money that wasn't his, and from the looks of it, losing big time. I'm writing this from my new place. It's small, but it's mine. Haley helped me move last week, and Julian's been helping me document everything we found. Mom still doesn't know about the loans, but Gabrielle is starting to ask questions. She called me yesterday, voice shaking, saying she found more documents. This morning, I drove by the house and saw Carter pacing in the driveway, having another one of his private phone calls, but this time was different. He looked scared, really scared. The kind of scared I felt that first night in the garage, realizing my brother wasn't who I thought he was. The difference is, I rebuilt my life from that garage floor up. From what I'm seeing in those loan documents, Carter's about to lose everything. And here's the twist. I might be the only person who can help him now. The question is, after everything he's done, should I? I can still see him through that garage window, pacing and checking his phone every 2 minutes. Karma's got a weird sense of humor sometimes. Update to my previous post about living in the garage while my brother Carter lived like a king. It's been 8 months, and Karma has a strange way of evening the score. Remember those loan documents I mentioned finding? Well, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Everything came crashing down 3 weeks ago when Mom got a call from her bank about suspicious activity on her accounts. Turns out Carter had been doing more than just playing online poker. He'd taken out multiple loans using Mom's information and burned through her retirement savings. The morning it all exploded started normally enough. I was at my place, having coffee with Haley, when Gabriella called. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. I just found more papers, she managed to say. Leo, he's taken everything. Even my personal savings, I can't. I drove over immediately. The scene at the house was chaos. Mom sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by bank statements and loan documents, her face completely blank. Carter was nowhere to be seen. Gabriella stood by the window, hugging herself, while Julian, who Mom had called for support, tried to make sense of the paperwork. The numbers were staggering. Carter had somehow racked up over $400,000 in debt. He'd been taking out loans, using one to pay off another, all while gambling away every cent. Mom's retirement fund, gone. Gabriella's savings, emptied. The house was even in foreclosure because Carter had taken out a second mortgage without telling anyone. When Carter finally showed up that evening, he tried to play it cool. I can explain everything, he said, walking in like he was about to give a normal presentation, but Mom just held up one of the loan applications, the one with her forged signature, and Carter's face crumbled. I was going to pay it all back, he kept saying. I had a system. I was so close to a big win, the same old gambling addict's song and dance, but what got me was how he still tried to maintain control. We just need to stay calm, he said, pacing the kitchen. I'll figure something out. Everyone just needs to listen to me. That's when Gabriella spoke up. I'd never heard her voice so cold. Listen to you. Like how you listened when I asked about our missing savings, or how you listened when your brother needed a place to stay and you put him in the garage. The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings and financial advisors. Mom was devastated, but also angry, an emotion I'd rarely seen from her. I enable this, she said one night over dinner at my place. I let him take control because it was easier than admitting something was wrong. Here's where it gets interesting. Remember how I mentioned rebuilding my life after the garage incident? Well, I'd been saving and investing carefully. When I heard the house was going into foreclosure, I did some calculation. With my savings and a loan, a legitimate one, I could buy it. Carter's reaction when he found out I was bidding on the house was priceless. You can't do this, he sputtered. This is my home, you're just trying to get revenge. Maybe he was right about the revenge part, just a little. But someone had to save Mom's house, and it sure wasn't going to be him. I won the bid last week. The first thing I did, asked Mom to stay in her room. It's her home too, after all. Gabriella had already moved out, taking only her personal belongings and leaving Carter to deal with his mess. But here's the kicker. When Carter begged me to let him stay, I said yes. The garage is all yours, I told him, watching his face fall as the realization hit. I've even set up that old camping cart for you. You know, the one you gave me. He's been living there for 5 days now. Mom thinks I'm crazy for letting him stay at all, but I remember how it feels to hit rock bottom. The difference is, I hit it because of bad luck and poor timing. Carter, he orchestrated his own downfall. This morning, I saw him staring through that dirty garage window, watching Mom and Julian move my things into the master bedroom, the same window I used to stare through. It's strange. I thought I'd feel triumphant, but mostly I just feel tired. And maybe a little sad for the brother I used to know. Gabriella called earlier. She's staying with friends, sorting out her life. She asked if Carter seemed sorry. I had to be honest. He seems more angry than sorry, more focused on what he lost than who he hurt. Just like when he put me in the garage, he still doesn't get it. The locksmith is coming tomorrow to change all the locks. I'm installing cameras too. Can't be too careful with a gambling addict on the property. Mom started seeing a therapist to process everything, and I've connected Carter with some addiction resources. Whether he uses them is up to him. I catch him sometimes, late at night, pacing in the garage and making phone calls. Old habits die hard, I guess. But this time, he's not playing with anyone else's money or life, just his own. Funny how things work out. Final update. Final update on the garage saga, and wow, these past few months have been a wild ride. You know how people say revenge is best served cold? Try serving it through a dirty garage window while your ex-gambling addict brother watches his whole world implode. It's been 4 months since Carter moved into the garage, and let me tell you, karma's got nothing on carefully planned payback. At first, I actually felt bad about making him stay there. That lasted about 2 weeks, right until I caught him trying to steal Mom's new credit cards from her purse. Remember how he used to time my showers and lock the side door? Well, I took a page from his book, installed a digital lock on the bathroom door, 15-minute timer, 3 uses per day. It's for the water bill, I told him, using his exact words from a year ago. The look on his face was priceless, but here's where it gets interesting. Last month, Gabriella came by to pick up the last of her things. Julian helped her move the boxes. They've been spending a lot of time together lately. Carter watched the whole thing through that garage window, the same one I used to stare through while he lived it up in the house. Gabriella looked amazing, by the way. She'd started taking care of herself again, now that she wasn't dealing with Carter's drama. Julian made her laugh while they loaded boxes into his truck, and I swear I could hear Carter grinding his teeth from inside the garage. That's when I decided to really twist the knife. I invited Julian and Gabriella over for weekly dinners, made sure to set the dining room table right in view of the garage window. Carter would watch them laugh, talk, and grow closer while he ate microwave meals on that old camping cart. One night, Carter tried to crash dinner, came barging in through the side door, acting like everything was normal. "Hey guys, room for one more," he said, pulling up a chair. Before anyone could react, I stood up and smiled. "Sorry, you need to schedule house visits 24 hours in advance. New rule. For security purposes. You understand? The same words he used on me. The same controlling tone. The same fake smile. He got so red in the face I thought he might explode. Mom finally found her voice too. Started calling him out on his manipulative behavior. Last week, he tried guilt-tripping her about some medical bills. She just laughed and said, "Ask your gambling buddies for help." I'm sure they miss your money. The real cherry on top. Julian and Gabriella actually started dating. They tried to keep it quiet at first, but you can't hide that kind of happiness. Carter found out when he saw them kissing in the driveway after one of our dinner parties. He threw such a fit that the neighbors called the police. That's when I implemented the garage improvement program. Installed security cameras everywhere for his safety, of course. Put in a new window. Crystal clear, so he wouldn't miss a thing. Even added some outdoor lighting that happens to shine directly into the garage at night, just upgrading the property. I told him sweetly, "Want to make sure you can see everything clearly." Last night was the best dinner yet. Julian proposed to Gabriella right there at the table. I'd helped him plan it, made sure they were seated right in view of Carter's window. She said yes, of course. They're perfect for each other. Both kind, genuine people who deserve happiness. Carter watched the whole thing. Watched his ex-wife say yes to his former friend. Watched Mom cry happy tears and hug them both. Watched me pour champagne and make a toast to new beginnings. all through that crystal clear garage window. He tried to ruin the moment, of course. Came pounding on the door, demanding to be let in. I just turned up the music and watched him rage. The security cameras caught everything. His meltdown will make a great wedding video someday. This morning, I found a note from him slipped under the door. Some rambling about how he's changed, how he deserves another chance. Funny how people only want forgiveness after they've lost everything. I took the note, walked out to the garage, and handed it back to him. You can submit requests for family reconciliation in writing through proper channels with a 30-day waiting period. I said, I'm sure you understand. It's just policy. The look in his eyes, that mix of rage and helplessness, was exactly how I felt all those months ago in this same garage. But unlike him, I worked my way out. Built something real. Created actual relationships instead of trying to control people. Haley thinks I'm being too harsh. Maybe she's right. But every time I start to feel guilty, I remember how he stole Mom's retirement, how he nearly destroyed our family, how he made me feel less than human in this very garage. Tonight, we're having another dinner party. Julian and Gabriella want to start planning their wedding. I've set up some extra lights in the dining room, want to make sure the view is perfect from the garage. Carter can watch his old life play out in high definition, all through that window he made me stare through for so long. Some might call it cruel, I call it educational. After all, he's the one who taught me that sometimes the best lessons are learned through a garage window. Wonder what he sees when he looks through it now.